trying to do sharp edge. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. It's going to be a stormy wild camp. There's some good weather forecast, and I've had to change my plans accordingly. I was going to stay out in the Keb Endurance 3 by Fjallraven, and I've now changed the Black Label Soulo. Winds are predicted to be gusting possibly up to 60, 70 on the higher tops. So I'm going to be a little bit sensible and not go to the highest places and put my tent on an exposed sort of plateau or ridge line. I'm going to find some natural shelter. It's going to be a nice stormy night, and there's some snow forecast. We've got a wind meter now in the arsenal, so we're going to be able to verify the wind speeds, but it's going to be really decent wind chill down to about -15, and it should be an interesting camp. We'll crack on, and hopefully you're going to enjoy this one. The winds don't feel that bad, but of course you can see that we're in this protected bowl of mouse-to-weight coombe, and when we hit the top of this bowl we're going to lose the protection which it's affording us, and I've no doubt it's going to be a totally different picture when we get up there, because one look at those clouds just shows you, you know, some of the indications of the wind at that level. So we'll press on and we'll see what it's like. We'll take some readings when we top out. It's a bit of hail just starting, only very slight, but it's a good sign of some interesting conditions to come a little bit higher up. So we'll keep pushing on and see how things develop. Well, a bit of weather has come in. Of course, I get the camera out and I look like an idiot with too much equipment on. We've just had a big squall of sort of wind-blown ice particles smash you in the face. So if you've got ski goggles, it just helps. It stops that ice pelting you in the face, and it just makes it that much more bearable and enjoyable. So I'm heading up to the location. The conditions are deteriorating, but not noticeably so. No concerns at the moment, and again, the terrain that I'm on this one, there's no dangers, there's no sharp edges. You know, I won't be going up sharp edge, and I'm not camping on the actual summit. So, you know, in terms of risk, other than exposure and not having the right clothing, which I have, it's very little, so it should be really enjoyable. I'm going to crack on and yeah, see what it continues to bring. So there's a few fellow walkers out, and a lot of them are making their way up sharp edge. I'm not going to give anyone lectures, who am I? There's lots of people, especially on YouTube now, that seem to think they are sitting in a position to tell others what to do. At the end of the day, people should know their own abilities and be able to make an informed decision. It's not for others to say what is and is not right. All you can give people is the knowledge and the advice, and it's up to them ultimately as adults to make the right decision. I'm not a big fan of this preaching mentality which appears to be taking hold. I won't mention any names. Just enjoy your life, be responsible, that's the main thing. I'm gonna make my way up this waterfall, stream in full speed, and then try and find somewhere a little tiny bit sheltered and get the Black Label Soulo hunkered down. I've got the Delta ground anchors, and it's going to be a great camp once I've got the tent properly tensioned and guyed out. So I've got to the location where I'm pitching, and there's a bit of a lull in the wind. They're not forecast to really pick up until after dusk, so I'm going to make the most of this window and choose sort of, you know, the flattest bit of ground. There's a bit of an angle because we're in a bit of a corrie, so I like to sleep with my head elevated anyway, so I'm not too bothered about that. What a fantastic location. If you know it, I'm not going to outright name it, but what a cracking spot. Yes, it's time to get the tent pitched and guide out with the Delta ground anchors and make sure I'm secure for the conditions which are forecast to hit in a bit later on. I always mention, and I said it on my Instagram story last night, I've packed my tent in such a way that I've got one guy line sticking out the top of the stuff sack. I know that's the guy line from the bottom or the back left hand side of the tent, so I can orient it correctly into the wind with no faff, and that guy line is going to get strapped or attached to a carabiner on my pack. It's about 16 kilos, so it's not going to blow anywhere. So that's what I'm going to do. Just take your time and be methodical and think before you do, because if you let it go, if you get it wrong, it's gone. So we're pitched up and secure. I couldn't really film that because the camera kept blowing over. All I'm going to do now is go around the tent and just extend these guy lines as long as I can to get more stability from them when they're at the longest length. Oh, time to get some shelter. Well, the snow is setting in. It doesn't take much for it to blow into the vestibule. So we're just going to batten down the hatches and let this latest squally shower just blow over. Real testing conditions. And it should be a good test for this tent. You know, on paper it's more than capable of dealing with these conditions and these winds, so it's guyed out fully, got some ground anchors in and they're not going anywhere. We just need the tent to do its thing, so I'll wait for this to pass over, then we get the interior of the tent set up and relax. Right, it is game over, and the reason it's game over is I've come up with Ant and Tony. We've gone our separate ways. They've gone the other side of the tarn. There's just been an absolutely catastrophic gust of wind, and Tony's Scarp 1 has torn to shreds. The gust was, I've never experienced the gust like it in a tent, but we've come up together, we've come to the Lake District together, and I'm not going to let Tony go back down on his own. So my camping trip's over, but that doesn't matter. The sensible decision is to make sure we're all off safely. We're going to regroup. I'll show you Tony's tent, and you know, it's a bit disappointing, but sometimes that's just what it is, and it hopefully serves to illustrate that if something goes wrong, don't stick it out, make the sensible decision and get off the hill. So we'll have a look at Tony's tent, and then we'll pack back away and head back down to the van. We'll see if we can stay up in the Lake District, maybe go into a campsite somewhere and see if we can at least salvage a bit of the trip. But we're going to have a look at the damage on the Scarp one, but that gust was absolutely horrendous. Not impressed with that at all. We had the crossing poles in, it's guyed out completely, nothing wrong whatsoever, and this tent has torn to shreds. Now I like mine, apart from the issue with the crossing poles, but that is simply not good enough. An expensive bit of kit marketed as a 4-season tent, the Tarptent Scarp one, shredded to pieces. Game over. So it was good while it lasted, but it's time to pack away and get out of this madness. Let's see what this is. On the old wind meter. It drops down, it's always sod's law. You get it out and it drops down. We've still got a lot of daylight left. So packing down, so it's just the same in reverse. Get it carabiner strapped on. Make sure that your kit doesn't blow away. Feel sorry for Tony, but as we've discussed, we'll speak about it when we get back out of this wind. The good thing is that it didn't happen at 2 in the morning in the pitch black. It's a shame that it's failed. We'll debrief it back down. Main thing is now get the rest of the kit down. You can see the wind, absolutely brutal. Here's another gust coming in. Yeah. Brutal. And here we go, taking mine down. These 10mm poles. Look at that. The state of that. Big bend. The winds weren't anything beyond what the tent is designed for. So that is very, very disappointing. It's time to get off the hill. Conditions are really worsening, so we've packed up, everything nicely packed away, and we've still got a few hours of daylight just left to get safely off the hill as a group and stick together. So we're going to meet up down there, rejoin the boys, and yeah, get off the hill. Very, very disappointing end to this very short wild camp for the naysayers out there. And I'll probably preface this video with a bit of, you know, introduction first. That tent was pitched out correctly, it was guyed out correctly, the guy lines were at the longest extent, they were tensioned correctly, I had delta ground anchors in, every single peg was in and secure, the tent was oriented the correct way to the prevailing wind, and the forecast throughout the day was 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts. Wasn't set to get worse than that until after dusk, which of course it's not. I've been using tents since I was 14, and wild camping pretty much the same amount of time. So I'm sure there'll be people who've got their own opinion on it, that's fine. Where was the natural shelter? Well, we were in the bowl of the tarn. But it's really disappointing because it's almost £1,000 tent, 10mm poles. Really, really disappointing. And a £49 OEX Bobcat was fine. So I'm sure there's going to be a bit of a healthy debate on this video, which is fine. Let's all keep it constructive and let's give Hilleberg a chance and see what they say. But that tent is marketed for extreme conditions. That's not extreme conditions, it's 40 to 50 mile an hour winds.
Well, in the previous, it was in, I recorded 62 mile an hour.
Who you bump into?
It's alright.
We're having a debrief.
We need to have a debrief.
At least we got our tents pitched.
Yeah, we're going up now.
We're going to the pub.
Are you, where are you going? Are you going to
Right. My little daughter Emily drew me a little picture that she wanted me to take along on this camp. I was going to show you it in the tent while I was enjoying a beer, so obviously that's not the case. So from the van I'll show you what she's done. She designed her own Hilleberg. It's a Hilleberg pink label, and that's me. There we are, some technicals gear on, some of the cheese I like, and some nice beers there. So Emily, that's a lovely picture, really pleased with that one. Sadly we didn't get to show it in the tent, but there you go. Really well done, Emily. Where's my hair? What's all that about? The famous dog and gun. The lads are going to have to go in and see if there's any tables. There could be.
Would you like to taste it first?
Yeah, please. Oh, thank you. That'll do. £3 for that, please. Look at that. Now here's the real test. I know my goulash. And if it's wrong,